Hi, this is Pamela Parker, Research Director of the Content Studio at Third Door Media. And I'm here to remind you that the Search Engine Land Awards are now open for entries. So get your team recognized for the outstanding work they do in search marketing. Visit this link to enter today, and good luck.
Hey everybody, welcome to Will AI Overviews Kill SEO? Or as I like to call it, SEO is dead, again, long live SEO. My name's Ryan Jones, I'm SVP at Razorfish, where I lead our search practice. I'm also the guy behind all these other websites you see here, bunch of tools and whatnot. But let's not talk about me so much, let's just dive right into it. You may have heard it called SGE. Google just recently launched at the time of this recording. It's now called AI Overviews. If you've watched Google I/O, AI Overviews, in my opinion, is a much better name than SGE, although it did kill a lot of the acronym jokes I had planned for this deck. Socially Gifted Elephant is one of my favorites that Gemini recommended it could stand for. So unfortunately, I had to kill all those jokes as we go forward. But what is AI Overviews or SGE? Here's a screenshot of SGE at the time telling us what it is. We don't need to read this, but this is basically what AI Overviews look like. It's an AI summary at the top of search results, summarizing stuff and citing examples for search results. And so we're going to talk about some of how this works, what it's doing, and then, what we can expect as SEOs and what we should do about it going forward as we go through this presentation. So who can see AI overviews? Right now, the end of May, it's US only for search overviews. And you have to be logged into Google and on Chrome, Firefox, or Safari. Sorry, Edge users. It won't show if you're in incognito mode. And if you opted into labs, like you saw in the previous screenshot with the little beaker icon at the top, you might get different results or see it more often than the general public. So if you're doing any type of rank tracking or analysis, make sure that you are logged into Google, but make sure that you're not in labs. And you might need a second account for that if you want to stay in search labs. It can get a little tricky. And Google isn't the first to launch AI search enhancements. Perplexity AI launched this a while ago. So did Microsoft Bing. They put it live. Again, with Bing, you had to be in Edge and using the Bing search engine, not Chrome or whatnot. Perplexity, it doesn't really matter. Anybody can use it. But Google's not first here. They're kind of playing a little catch up. So just important to call that out. It's also important to remember AI is not a search engine. And this is important because many people think of AI in context of a search engine, but they're actually vastly different. When we think of a search engine, we think of what's called an inverted index. And for those that don't know what that means, an inverted index is just a list of words and then a link to documents that contain those words. And that's the fundamental underpinning of how a search engine works. Here's all the documents that contain this word or this term or this topic, entity, whatever. AI, however, doesn't have an index. It doesn't have a database of facts. It is predicting the next word or token based on everything it's crawled and looked at. So, a lot of arguments can be made there. It's out of scope for this presentation about whether it's copyright or how it works, but it's not actually storing your data. It's just keeping track of what words most likely follow other words and making a prediction based on that. And you can see that you can see how that works with a predictive words here when you give it some weird examples. On the left, I asked it to give me a 7-letter word to finish the sentence, the dog ate my blank, and it gave me homework. Well, homework is not 7 letters, it's 8. But homework is the most likely word to follow the dog ate my, So it's predicting that and ignoring my math about 7 letters. On the right, I gave it a question about a man and a goat need to cross a river with a boat. The simple answer for AI is to just say, get in the boat and cross the river. But it takes us on a weird journey here where you have to go across the river 7 times or whatever because it's thinking about the old riddle about the man, the goat, and the cabbage. This is what happens when it's actually predicting next best words versus looking up the words in an index or looking up data. And this can cause all kinds of issues, which we're going to see later on. But it's all just probability. Here's a great article from the Financial Times. The link is up here if you want to go look at it. But it's showing it's not just the next word. It could be the next phrase, the next phrases, right? It does this iteratively. So it can predict up to 4 or 5 words later and see what's most likely. And this is just an example of how that works using the Financial Times example. And for those in the technical know-how, this is called beam search, where you're not just looking at the next word, you're looking at the next several possibilities onward and onward. It's kind of how online chess programs work, kind of the same way. But again, not pulling data, predicting. But when you mirror that prediction with some other topics, you can get some pretty cool stuff. And so we're going to talk a little bit about RAG, or retrieval augmented generation, and factual grounding. And these are methods that Bing and Perplexity and Google are using to take that auto-generated predictive content, next word based, and tie in their corpus of results, their documents, their crawl of the web, and tie it into that. And so we're going to look a little bit at the patents first before we get into how this actually works, to see how it works before we talk about what we can do about it. And so these are all from the SGE at the time patent that talk about kind of how it works. And so the highlighted docs here is includes content from query responsive search documents, what ranks for your query, and or content from other search result documents that are responsive to a corresponding other query, which means they are expanding your query. So it's not just looking at the word you type, but it's looking at queries other people typed around that query, or in other words, people that search this also search this type queries. It's factoring that data in, which is really cool. The other thing is doing it's summarizing results, but it's not just summarizing the results for your query. It's summarizing the results for those other queries as well. So you can see here, it's the top, it shows example of that in the patent, how it's feeding in the documents that rank for the query, but also documents that might rank for other related queries. And you can see the actual prompt at the bottom here of summarize in the context of query content A, B, C, D, E, whatever. You can see how it's actually working. So it is a summary, but not just of what ranks for that query. And so how does it cite websites then? Most people think it's actually citing the website that it pulled the content from. And that is wrong. If we look at the patent, it's generating a natural language response, and then it's going and finding documents that rank for a section of text in that response. It just pulls out random sections of text from the response. It's probably using BERT or passage BERT or some other methods to do this beyond the scope of this talk. But it pulls out what ranks for a snippet there, and then it's citing the site that ranks for that snippet. And we can see examples of this, right? But the takeaway here is, even though it might be summarizing one document, it's citing the document that ranks for that summary. So that gives us more opportunities to rank. We can rank for, the related query, or we can rank for a different thing and still get pulled in. And we'll show that in a minute. But how do we know this? Well, here's an example where Copilot, same thing, but here's an example where it's citing WebMD, but the text it cites to WebMD is not actually anywhere on WebMD. So you can kind of see, this is more of a Bing example, but you can kind of see how it's citing something that it didn't actually pull the text from, because this text doesn't appear anywhere on the WebMD article, but it still got cited for it. Here's another one where it says, according to stadiummaps.com in the generated answer, but stadiummaps.com isn't one of the sites that it cited for this soccer query or football query. Again, interesting, right? It's pulling in documents that may or may not be what it used to generate, because it's not pulling from an index. It's predicting and then going and finding documents that match its prediction. How do we know that? Well, if we look at this AI example that Kevin on my team noticed, thanks, Kevin. You can see when you hover over the citation here, the search engine land one in the middle, you can see that text in the highlighted in the URL that it's going to says text equals Ryan Jones is a blah, 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 blah. And it's interesting because if you search that exact text, guess who ranks number one? My search engine land author profile. So it's actually telling us that's how it works, where it's finding text in the answer, and then it's going and finding the site that ranks number one for that text. We can see this in action, right? And that fits the data we're seeing. This is data from Bright Edge that says, hey, almost half of the sites cited by overviews don't rank in the top of Google anywhere. And is that something we can abuse and use? Yes, 100%. A lot of people are dreading, oh no, where are my clicks going to go? We'll talk about that in a second. But this is an opportunity. Half the sites it's citing don't rank for the query. The smart SEO can do some stuff to figure out, maybe I can get cited for something I can't rank for. Just like a featured snippet. Can I get pulled to the top of something I don't rank for? So I'm in the camp that's excited for this change, not so much dreading it for my clicks. All right, let's talk about the elephant in the room. Let's talk about spam, because a lot of SEOs, AI and spam go together much better than Google and Reddit. Here's an example. Lily Ray posted this example, and I borrowed it for this, is auto parts in Craigslist. You can see here that second result of ferdiez.wiki is just a pure spam site showing up in here. And why is this happening? My theory is that when it's searching for sites that match the parts of the answer that it's picking, it's not running all the spam algorithms and all the additional algorithms like helpful content and whatnot. And we've seen that. We've seen sites that got decimated by helpful content showing up in AI overviews, or sites. I saw one site with a manual penalty that confirmed actually show up in AI overviews because it's not running the whole search engine. It's just running parts of it here, which makes sense because it can be, a little exhaustive for time and computation power to run the whole engine for this. And of course, Google getting things wrong isn't new. This is a search I did the other day, right? This has nothing to do with AI, but I'm pretty sure this article wasn't posted September 5th, 1977. So there's going to be issues and there's going to be bugs to work out, which is going to make it an exciting time for us. There's also going to be opportunities for misinformation. Here's a great one that Barry Schwartz shared of how to pass kidney stones quickly. It says you should drink 2 liters of urine every 24 hours. Please do not do that. But as you can see, it's still a little experimental and it's still not ideal here to answer some questions. This one's interesting. I searched best cigars for kids and I got an AI overview telling me what the best cigars, if I wanted to start smoking, were. But when I search best cigars for adults, there's no AI overview available for this search. I take this the way you want to. This one just kind of made me laugh. Again, lots of room for improvement here. We're going to see more iterations of this. And this one's my favorite, and cheese not sticking to pizza. Oh, add an eighth of a cup of glue to it. Because when Google signed a deal with Reddit, what everybody wanted was, I won't say this guy's name here, but everybody wanted that person on Reddit's 11-year-old joke in their answer on how to make pizza, right? Probably not what they're going for. So again, lots of opportunities to improve. So what is the future of AI in search? How do we get to this future? And what do we do about it as SEOs? We know that Google wants to build the Star Trek computer. They never set out as their goal to show 10 blue links and send traffic to websites. They wanted to build an answer engine. They want to answer queries, answer questions that people are asking for, right? And so what is Google saying? Well, here's a quote from Sundar at Google. It says, search used to be text and 10 blue links maybe 15 years ago, but whether it's images, videos, finding answers for your questions, those all change. They've done this all Google search for a long time, and people like it, engage with it, trust with it. So in Sundar's view, AI improves search, but it doesn't replace it. He sees it as, in his words, a natural continuation, obviously with LLMs and AI. If you think you have a more powerful tool to do that, which is what Google thinks they do, they're going to continue evolving it in that direction. And again, Google wants to do what they think users want. And that's what this currently is, what they think users want. Will data prove them wrong in the future? Maybe. We'll see. But for now, direction they're going. To continue that Sundar quote here, though, he says, we think we've always struck the balance. It's not about giving an answer. There are certain times you give an answer. Example, what's the population in the United States? It's an answerable question. It's a number. But there's other times where you want to surface a breadth of opinions, which is what Google's trying to do. And so to say just because you're summarizing it on top doesn't mean that they're varying from those principles. The summary can still point you to the range of opinions, and that's Google's point of view, not mine, that there's a summary there for the people that want answers, and then there's the range of opinions below it for the people that want to engage in those range of opinions. Whereas before, we didn't have that option. You only had the websites or the range of opinions, right? So let's look into some more data. What queries are AI overviews showing up for? And this comes from Bart. And I left his contact information on here, but you can see it's showing up a lot in health, which worries me for the examples we showed a minute ago. But it's showing up kind of everywhere, a little less in entertainment, hotels, and real estate. But I'm sure by the time we present this and out there, it's only growing daily. So we can see it's probably going to change. What queries are they showing up for? This is great data from SEO Clarity that they shared with us. They broke down, just a bunch of your money, your life keywords to show where it's showing up. I won't read this to everybody. You can take this as a takeaway, but you can see some of the queries that are showing responses, and some of these could be problematic. How to treat a burn, or signs of a stroke. I don't know that I'd want to take my medical information from AI overviews, not just yet. A lot of these in losing weight, there's the old one. I don't think I have an example here, but for a while, if you search the best way to lose 10 pounds, you got a Reddit article that said cut off an arm, which is not technically incorrect, but I still wouldn't advise doing it. So interesting to me what it's showing up for and what it's not showing up for. Take this how you will. All right. The big question on everybody's mind is there going to be an effect on clicks? A lot of people think so. Yes. Right. Here's an example. This deck is comic book themed, so we did a Midtown Comics big store in New York search here for a coupon code, and here is AI just giving me the coupon code. Well, great. I can take that over to Midtown Comics and get my discount, and I'm good to go. That's gonna hurt the business of a lot of these other pages down here. But the thing is, they don't own this content, right? It's just a coupon code that Midtown Comics put out. So who is the source of truth for this? Who deserves to rank for this query? Arguably the store, not the sites below it. And so I think if your business is built on this type of thing, you're definitely going to see an impact on clicks. If you don't own your content or own the authority, if you aren't the authority in that space, you're probably going to see an effect on clicks. Affiliate sites are going to feel this the most. Here's an example of best razors for men. And, while it does cite some affiliate sites, right, there's Men's Health in there and Men's Journal and a review site cited to the right. I've also got the reviews here of best razors. And affiliate sites are going to feel this. Arguably, this is one of my favorite uses of AI, though. I love the Amazon reviews where they talk about, they summarize everybody's review for me. I think that's a really cool use of AI that I find useful. But if your website is just affiliate, you're probably not liking this change, because Google is doing a much better job than a lot of websites here. And we'll see if users like it. We'll see if they click. The click signal is eventually going to tell them if they like it or not. So is SEO dead? Right? Every year, somebody predicts SEO is going to die. So much so that on my parody site, WTF SEO, we have an evergreen article making fun of SEO being dead, because it seems like every other month a different news agency is calling SEO dead. But, they never actually no-index themselves, or robots block their site to prove that SEO is dead, right? They still follow SEO best practices. So take that for what it's worth. But no, SEO is not going to die. It's just changing. And it's changed before. It changed ever since, the dreaded Florida update decades ago, to every little change they made. Panda, Penguin, featured snippets, right? SEO is changing, and we're here for the changes. We got to roll with it, right? The good news is early data here from Bright Edge shows that they've already started reducing the amount of search results that have AI overviews in it. Again, this is old data. It says SGE because Bright Edge did this before they launched, but they tuned it up, and then they must have got some signals that it was time to tune it down a little bit. So they're definitely playing with it. So we'll see what happens if they tune it up or tune it down, or how many search results it shows for. Is SEO dead though? I don't know. I own Google stock, not much, but I get their earnings and public data they send out to stockholders, and the number of searches on Google has increased every year since Google became a public company. So what that tells me is people are just searching more, because search is built into more things. You've seen the articles, is TikTok going to kill Google search? Is AI going to kill Google search? Meta, right? All these other things. And the answer that I think is no. I think search is just becoming more and more part of our daily lives. It's ubiquitous. It's built into everything we do. And people are just searching more in multiple devices, but I don't think it's going to actually replace or kill search. There's still going to be a need for search. So what should SEOs do? Right? I love this AI generated image about SEOs here with the alligator party and the content goblin, if you're wondering where we're going with this. But what should we do going forward? There are some tips here, and I'm saying here the answer is not SEO spam with AI, even though Twitter says a lot of people are using it for that way. Quick aside, right? I don't think the best use of AI is to create automated content. I think if your users wanted AI content, they would go get it from the AI, not your website. But you do you. I think the first thing we have to accept is not all users want websites. In the year 2000, websites were the best thing we had. It was all we had. Google was incapable, and Bing or Yahoo at the time, Alta Vista, were all incapable of answering the queries. We had to go to a website that contained the text. But for this query here, how old is Taylor Swift? I don't want a website. I just want the number. And why don't I want a website? Because I don't want this with a bunch of ads and the number's not anywhere above the fold, or this one here where it's just all ads. In fact, there's an ad covering an ad on this page, right? Here's another page that ranks for that query. It's just all ads. Again, there's no and a pop-up, and there's no answer on the top of the page, right? Here, there's an answer, but it's covered by an auto playing music box that played one of her songs for me. Again, I just want the number, right? Here, I got for some reason in Spanish, I got a cookie consent notice in Spanish, right? Users don't want that. They don't want this, right? Where, again, ad pop-ups and ads over ads. Nobody wants to go to your site with the ads, the cookie consent, and the sign into alerts and all this other stuff on the page. No one wants to do this. They just want the number. And so we, in a way, we kind of did this to ourselves, right? So what is the future of search? There's a great quote from Bill Gates back in 2009 when Bing was launching. And he said, the future of search is verbs. And what he didn't mean is people are searching action words into Google, right? The verb. What he meant is people want to do something. They want to accomplish a task. They want to do something. And so our advice for SEOs is don't just try to think, how do I rank this website for this query? That's backwards and outdated thinking. We need to start thinking about understanding user intents. What is that user trying to do? And then build the destination that that user wants to click on. What is it that that user will want to click? That's what we should build, and that's what we should focus on, especially if we want to measure our traffic and clicks, right? But I'm not worried. Is AI going to take my job? Probably not. Will it take some SEO jobs? Yeah, maybe. Right. And the old outdated quote of, AI is not going to take your job, the person that knows to use it. Well, yeah, of course. But retrieval augmented generation, which AI, is still based on a user query. So we're still going to need SEOs to understand what people are searching and do that research to understand user intents. It still links to websites, maybe not in the most friendly way that we're interested in, or the way we want it to link to websites too, but there are still links to websites. It's still going to need that data for somewhere, because it's still looking for relevant passage on relevant pages, the same way a featured snippet or what they're showing instead of a meta description does. It's just now showing up in AI, and it's looking for that. Right. There are hopefully still spam algorithms that we have to worry about and take into account. And it still needs content. It still needs to crawl a website, index a website, retrieve information from a website. So we're still going to have to take that data about users' needs and what they want, and we're going to have to put that into crawlable, indexable formats that robots can understand or AIs can understand. And that's essentially what most of us do on a day-to-day basis for SEO. So I'm not worried. I think our jobs are going to change, but I'm not really worried about it taking our job. Which means, right, we still need to understand the intent. We still need to meet our users' needs, sites crawlable, and we still need to do SEO. But maybe it's time to stop calling it SEO, because all of that stuff listed above here sounds to me like marketing. And that's what's happening. SEO is becoming real marketing. It's the line between SEO and marketing and whatnot. It's broadening, right? That Venn diagram is changing. It's going to be less and less a niche field. And you know what? I'm okay for that. I'm okay with that. I'm here for that. Right? So as we're going to wrap up here, a couple questions I know that are going to be asked. So let's just address them right now, is can you opt out? I don't want my content being used in AI. My recommendation is you should not opt out. You should let it use your content because it's a chance to get a link. If you can rank for a related query that isn't the query someone typed, you can still get cited. So your opportunities for getting clicks might have gone up. But if you want to opt out, you can. You can put a meta tag, a no snippet tag on your page in the header, which is the top option here. And if you have the no snippet page, it will also prevent content from being used in AI, according to Google's documents here. This left is a screenshot of Google. Or if you just want certain parts of your text not to be included, you can put a div or a span with that data no snippet attribute here. And whatever text is in that div or span tag or block, right, will be ignored for AI purposes as well. So you can 100% opt out at a page level, site level if you just block it, or at a sentence, word, paragraph level if you want to. Go for it. And can you measure AI overview traffic Search Console? John says yes. It is included in Search Console. However, it is not broken out specifically in Search Console. It is just included with the sum of your clicks and impressions per the query thing. And unfortunately, right now, our testing shows it's by the query the user typed, not by the query AI actually used to cite your document. We'll see if that changes, but for now, that's how it is. And I'm hoping they break this out in the future for us because it would be really useful. But I don't know that Google has much incentive to do that for us, so we'll see what happens. And that's my time. Again, my name was Ryan Jones, SVP at Razorfish, where I run the SEO practice. I've got a new tool launching soon. Check it out. Also, all this contact information here. If you want to get a hold of me on X or LinkedIn or my personal site, it's all here. And I'm looking forward to seeing everybody at the live Q&A coming up in just a couple seconds. Thank you.
Okay, we are live with Ryan Jones after his session on will AI overuse kill SEO? And just want to make clear, of course, aside from cutting your arm off as bad medical advice, also not a ranking factor, I believe. That wasn't in the leak, right, Ryan?
I haven't seen a correlation study for that yet.
Yeah.
Please
Someone
don't
wants to
do
test
that.
that, please. This is now time to ask questions of Ryan. I know we've already had some come in, but if you have questions for Ryan, we have about 20 minutes or so.
Cool.
With Ryan here, so plenty of time for questions. Before I dive into those, I want to just confirm one thing to make sure I heard you correctly, Ryan, because I think this is kind of a key point that I think people should understand. So you gave the example about the WebMD answer. You said so. The way that it works, as far as you can tell, is that it generates an answer, and then Google will then try to find uh, citations that back up that generated answer. Is that correct? So it's basically like doing that prediction probability as opposed to the user query. Am I understanding that? How you would?
That's kind of what the patent said. And again, I'll do the old Bill Slawski caveat here is just because it's in the patent doesn't mean that's what they're actually doing, just like the league thing too, right? But
Yep.
what the patent says is the query they're giving it is, hey, in the context of these documents, and these documents are what ranks for the query, but also what ranks for related queries that they might have expanded your query into, right? In the context of these documents, explain this query. And they may also add in other stuff like any information about you, the user, like your location and whatnot, because, if you're searching Paris, France versus Paris, Texas, and you want to say history of Paris, that is a thing that matters where you're located.
Mhm.
So the query is to summarize these documents in the context of this query and this other information. And so that generates a summary, which may include hallucinations. It might not, it's not just going to pull from those documents. It is still AI, right? If you go to
Right.
OpenAI and tell it summarize a document, it could still hallucinate. But then for sites it's cited, it doesn't know how it summarized each document, right? It doesn't really keep track of that. So it generates new queries from that summary that it does, and then it goes out and cites whatever documents rank for those new queries it generated, which might not be the ones it used to create that summary. And in our testing shows about half the time it's not one of those documents it used to create that summary. So to me, that's an opportunity, right?
Yeah.
We If I can't rank for the query, I can still rank for whatever it might generate for that query. And we've had some people do some testing already, nothing formal to share, but look at some of the phrases AI is generating for your queries and start including those on your website. And we've seen some people get cited for things like that by doing that. We're playing with that. It's really interesting.
Super interesting. Thanks for that. Okay, so we're going to dive into audience questions. The first one came in, and this is sort of related to what we're talking about here from Mike. He asked, is Perplexity doing it the other way, looking for citations and then summarizing the results? So is Perplexity's model different from how Google is doing it, as
I
far as
don't
you
know.
know? Okay.
Um, I don't have a Perplexity patent to look at, and I haven't done a ton of testing on it. But it might be. I can't imagine they work the same way, but exactly the same way. So there's going to be differences, but I don't know. I haven't dove in. I don't know if anybody else has dove in on the nuances between all three different types, and that would be a really really fun project or case study for someone to do.
Absolutely. Okay. Next one, we'll go to Simon. Had a question. These citations are not actually citations, then. He's mentioned, is this like a lawsuit sort of situation potentially here?
This is a whole nother topic, right? And so this goes back to the whole like AI stole my content, right? And
Mm-hmm.
well, it's not actually reading your content back to you. It's it's reading a summary or it's reading a generalization or a prediction or whatever. So yeah, I'm sure someone's going to sue over it. I mean, I'll look to Europe, and this might be the reason that one of the reasons many that they probably haven't launched in Europe yet because their laws are a lot different than ours.
Mm-hmm. Okay, more questions. I believe the name is pronounced Justinia. Sorry if I mispronounced your name. We did kind of cover this. Is there a way to see if my site is being cited in AI overviews and for what queries? As we mentioned, John mentioned, the click data is in there, but it's not separated out. So are there any tools that are showing this? I know there's been a lot of kind of debate about this because I know SEMrush was trying to claim that they were showing AI overviews, and there was a whole lot of argument. Well, they're not really showing these. So,
This
are you
is
seeing anything there?
this is a real problem. So every tool that I have been talking to behind closed doors has a beta program where they're doing this
Mm-hmm.
and getting results, but it's very very limited. And the problem is right now it's only showing to logged in users in the U.S. And the problem with scraping search results logged in is you don't get to do that for very long at very large scale before Google shuts you down.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a problem. And it's not one I'm not sure how we solve this problem until people can scrape without being logged in. I imagine tools are creating thousands and thousands of Google accounts or something stupid, but it's what they did with the paid search accounts to get all that data out of the API, right?
Mm-hmm.
So someone's going to do something, but there's nothing super reliable yet. And same thing with the data, right? Someone asked another question we'll combine with this one in the chat is how do I justify this as, if I can't immensely track it? And I've been telling clients to treat this just like voice search and just like featured snippets. I've been telling clients to treat this like push advertising, not pull advertising, like a billboard, like a TV, right? How do you justify buying a billboard on the side of the highway, right? It's getting eyeballs, but I don't know who and how many, and I don't know which person bought it, but yet it's still, when I take that billboard away, my sales go down. So I would think of this in the same way we think of, and I said traditional marketing. I think of this as the same way, and hopefully we'll get tools to measure it. I mean, that's probably the number one complaint Google's hearing from us right now is let me measure, let me measure. And I know they're tracking the clicks. The leak shows us they're tracking all those clicks, so it shouldn't be hard for them to give us that data. But hopefully soon.
Yep. All right, we'll move on to the next one. Cameron was asking, are AI overviews showing up less frequently, especially in the last week or two? Seems like Google's walking it back slightly because of the bad examples found that we've obviously all been following. And they were actually reducing this prior to the official launch at I/O. It started in mid-April. Bright Edge data showed that they really started walking it back before it launched officially. I don't know. Do you expect this to? I'm expecting that it will start to ramp back up at some point, Ryan. But I'd love your thoughts there too.
Yeah, I definitely saw them ramp it back. Like you said, Bright Edge, and we shared that graph chart
Yep.
from Bright Edge. They showed it declining prior to launch. It has declined a little bit prior to launch. And again, the keynote is here. If you're logged into labs, you're going to see it more often than others. So if you get that little hourglass, that might not be what the general public is seeing. So it's kind of catch 22 because we all want to be as SEOs logged into labs, but now we're going to see stuff more frequently that other people aren't. So it's do you log out of labs, right? You got to be logged in to see this. So like, do you disconnect from labs? I don't know. I'm staying in labs personally, but I think, you know, I think Google's going to let the users decide. So if you hate this, stop clicking on it, stop interacting with it, stop expanding it, because those signals are going to Google to see if people are using it or liking it. So, and I imagine there's going to be all kinds of machine learning algorithms based on those user signals to see what type of queries or what type of entities or whatnot they should show this stuff for. I imagine they're going to be running all those tests. So my advice is if you hate it, stop interacting with it and send them that message.
Absolutely. We have just under 15 minutes left with Ryan here. If you have any questions for him, put them in the chat. We are plowing through them. Our next one is from Mike. He's asking about opting out of AI specifically for paywalled content. Do you have any suggestions, or do you think sites that are paywalled should opt out of AI overviews?
It's an interesting choice because I don't think you want to completely opt out of AI overviews because you still want to get people to your site. Well, it depends what your philosophy is for Google search. It, like the New York Times, right? They want their articles to show, hoping people subscribe. I personally hate clicking on an article in search and then just getting a paywall. I'm like, oh, thanks, right?
Yeah.
But clearly, it might be working for those publishers. I don't know if you work on a publisher. Let me know. I'm assuming it's working because they're still doing it. I would personally take a hybrid approach where I would use the block level no snippet to say, hey, like AI, you can see the summary of the first couple of paragraphs of my article, and you can include that in there so that you can cite me. But then you're not going to give my whole article away for free. You're still going to cite the part of my article I wanted you to see and let users get the click to it, and hopefully they subscribe to see the rest of the article. So I would take a hybrid approach, and Same way, like, instead of first click for free, it's certain parts of the article for free for AI, and other parts, you got to subscribe to.
Yep. Great. Okay. Next question will go to Destiny. Destiny is asking, have there been any important developments since the end of May when your talk was recorded?
Oh, that's such a broad question. Thanks.
Regarding AI overviews. Specifically.
I don't think there's been anything huge and drastic that we've changed for this. I mean, we've seen them pulling back. We've seen the implementation slightly change a little bit for what it's showing up for and what it's not showing up for. I think we're going to have to continue to monitor it, but I don't think there's anything groundbreaking that I would have altered the deck this morning to include had I presented.
Yeah. Okay. Excellent. Let's see. Oh, this is a good one. Christian was asking, do AI overviews change over time, and have you looked into how frequently they may be changing? Have you looked at this?
Yeah, I don't have any hard data, but technically and theoretically, there's nothing stopping them from changing for every user. And given that we know they're using your location as context and sometimes even your past search history, like in that session, not like you searched this 12 days ago, but like, if I just did a search for Danny Goodwin and then did a search for SMX right after it, they might take, knowing that you're related to SMX, they might actually alter my thing for that. That's a thing it can do, right? So I I don't think everybody's getting the same exact thing around the world. Now, caveat there, Google does cache a lot of stuff. So if you're searching a very, very um, high volume keyword, or as Mike talked about in the leak in his talk, the part of the index that's stored in flash memory or in RAM, then they may cache that AI overview too. It would make total sense for them to do that. But for a super long tail query, I think it could change, and it could change within multiple searches depending on all that context.
Great. Okay, next one is from Fernando. Should we focus on more specific content to improve our chances to be referenced in AI overviews?
Yes, 100% yes, and that's kind of the hack now. Is I wouldn't even call it a hack. It's really just proper keyword research, right? But if you can't rank for the head term, AI is not just looking at the head term; it's looking at longer queries and more stuff. So understand the type of things AI is generating, right? Go do a bunch of searches and look at the output and see where it's going with it, and you can almost see common themes among what it might be recommending, or areas it's going to expand its explanation, and try to rank for that type of stuff. You're not going to get a lot of direct volume for that, but it's going to increase your chances of getting pulled into AI. And this is basically just the concept of information gain, right? Have some information that all of your competitors don't have that, or I don't want to use the word LSI keywords, but have those related entities, or those related LSI keywords, not a thing in the leak, by the way, but entity relationships, or have those other topicality things around that topic. Having that type of content can help here.
Good. Okay. Oh, so many good questions coming in. We're going to do the next one from Eric. How can we frame discussions around AI overviews to ensure clients and senior leadership understand both the challenges and the opportunities?
And that's the challenge right now. And then I've had success framing it, depending on the client. I've had success framing it in, like we talked about, the push marketing, right? So everybody knows push marketing is where you just know there's people there and you're pushing your message onto them. Pull marketing is search. The user's telling you what they want. You have to give it to them. Much easier. Push being TV, billboards, radio, right? You know a little bit about people. But I framed it that way. And that has made sense on the marketing focused people that I've talked to in the client one. Some other times I've phrased it as, look, if we're not there, our competitor's going to be there, right? I remember working with a company once during the Super Bowl, and I won't say the company was, but the ad rep from Yahoo came in and was like, "Do you want to do the homepage takeover during the Super Bowl?" And the company was like, "No, we didn't get any ROI of it last time." And this was 15 years ago. But they're like, "We didn't get any ROI out of it last time." Like, okay, good, because Toyota was asking, but since you bought it last year, we gave you first chance. And like, oh, Toyota wants it. Never mind, we want to buy this. And I'm like, wait, you just said it didn't give you any value. You don't want it, but as soon as you heard Toyota wants it, now you're in. So selling it that way helps too. Like, look, if we're not there, someone else is going to be there because it's not going away. So if someone's going to be there, it might as well be us. That kind of works too. But I'm sticking to the push marketing analogy. Just know your audience.
All right, great. Next question's from Kyle. Do you have any thoughts around the importance of structured data in terms of being important for getting citations with AI overviews?
I haven't tested it. Based on how we know AI seems to work, it's mostly vectorizing stuff. So they would ditch all that structured data when creating the vectors, since it's not like a search index like Google has. So I don't think it has any effect, but I'm sure sites like Perplexity might be playing with that and how do they leverage other data about the content in addition to just vectorizing the text content. So might be something to play with, but I don't think it has any effect right now. Did I lose Danny? There we go.
Can you hear me? Oh, okay.
Yeah, you're back.
Excellent. All right. Question. Next one's from Brendan. Are SEOs too focused on AI overviews when the helpful content updates, spam core updates have a much bigger impact?
Probably. AI is sexy and new, and everybody's rushing to be first to talk about it. And we're in that phase where helpful content is one of those things that no one has actually successfully recovered and done a case study about. I'm sure there's people that have recovered, but no one's actually done a full case study of this is what I did and here's how I recovered and here's my results that we've seen yet. And hopefully people are working on that, or maybe no one's recovered. I don't know. I don't have any clients that have been hit for it, thankfully, because I know a lot of people have been hit for it. But so I think it's just hard to focus on that right now. So I think our industry loves getting attention and chasing clicks, and because that's what we have to do. We have to sell ourselves. We have to sell our industry. So AI is the hot thing. It's where clients are looking. It's what clients' attention is. So that's where our attention is. But from a practicality, from a bottom line dollar impact, is it where we should be spending most of our time? Probably not. The assumption is you're doing all this other stuff in addition, right? There are no 40-hour weeks for an SEO these days. It's if you're just 9 to 5ing it, you're falling behind.
All right. Oh, so many questions. We'll do one here from Audrey asks, do you think that users are actually ready for the AI overviews or receiving them well? From her personal observations, users seem to find them annoying, like they didn't ask for them. Do you think there's anything that Google will do to improve the AI overviews to make them more helpful for users?
Yeah, I mean, I know my parents don't understand them or don't even know that they're really AI. They're just like, oh, this is what Google told me. It's got to be true. Go get me some Elmer's glue. I'm making pizza tonight, right? So I think it can be dangerous. I mean, I won't get political, but we're approaching an election season, and there can be an issue here. I've seen a lot of users that hate it. I've seen a lot of times though where, especially when I do a lot of, so like I said, I'm launching a tool. Free plug. Go to serprecon.com, sign up. I'll send you some free credits when we launch. But um, I'm doing a lot of weird Python searches because I'm not the best coder in the world, and sometimes I just get my answer right there, and I love that because it works. And other times it invents a Python library that doesn't exist. And it's like, why aren't you using this? And like, well, because no one's coded that yet. No one's invented that. So thanks, AI. But yeah, I think a lot of users will find it annoying. And I think that's where Google's going to look at the clicks. They're going to look at that user interactions, who's expanding it, who's hovering over it, who's clicking on it, right? Mike and Rand showed us that they're tracking all that type of stuff on search results. So they're tracking it on the AI overviews too, and you can bet they're going to use that type of data. Maybe not directly, maybe through a bunch of machine learning, but they're going to use that type of data to decide when to show it, what to show it for, how often to show it, etc. So we're in a really big beta test right now.
Yep, absolutely. Okay, we've just under 5 minutes, and so many questions are still in here and coming. Thank you for all the great questions. We're going to go to Daniel's question next. He says he works for an in-house, works in-house for an e-commerce site and is concerned about SGE for commercial and transactional queries. Do you have any thoughts on this, or perhaps customers you service that have expressed similar questions or concerns, and what have you done to guide those clients about this?
Yeah, so I mean, just throwing out there, a lot of e-commerce sites suck at upper and mid funnel stuff, right? Um, a lot of new clients, when I take them on for retail, we look at their upper mid funnel and they're like, no, we have lists of products. That's what we got. Here's a page of the list of products. We don't have anything about how to use them or when to use them or how to pick the best one or any of that. And AI is filling that gap right now in those queries. So the good news is you can't directly buy from AI, but the bad news is AI is going to make recommendations in that mid and upper funnel stuff if your site's not doing it, because most sites aren't doing it. And we saw the affiliates were doing it, but many of them were just recommending the best products that had affiliate programs, not really the best products. So, and you've seen a lot of them, even the good affiliates are hurting with the helpful content update now. And
Yep.
AI might fill that spot. And so my advice is start working on that type of content if you're the brand, not best content because no one wants to hear you. Of course, you think you're the best, but that lifestyle or that seasonal or that use cases or how to choose or all that mid and upper funnel content for whatever your product might be. Like if you're a TV company, if you sell TVs and you don't have a page about like the best TVs for a conference room versus sports, or like what of your TVs are good for use cases, if you don't have that type of content, you're missing out, right? That's what you need to create to get into those AI overviews, because those are the questions people are asking.
Okay. Next question we'll go to. This is a fun one. A question from Simon. Do you think AI search will go the way of voice search? As in a whole lot of hype and eventually just sort of all went away.
Yeah, I don't think it's going away, and I don't think voice search is going away either. I think voice search and AI are going to merge, but it's still going to be search, right? I still have a really old iPhone here, and I'm holding out, waiting for the one that can run AI on the phone, so that I have my own personal assistant. If it's not the next phone coming, it's the one after. Like we've seen the smart pins that were kind of a massive failure, but like this device is going to do it all, and I'm not going to type on this device to do it. I'm going to talk to it. But there was a lot of hype over it, and you're right, and it became a whole lot of meh. I see AI as a featured snippet. It's and there was a lot of hype over featured snippets. We went through this
Oh yeah.
before. all the things we're saying about AI, we said when featured snippets and instant answers and all that stuff launched. We have done this, and we're just kind of like, slash s slash featured snippet slash AI now, right? Replacing, finding and replacing it, and having all the same concerns again. So I think it's going to go the same way. I think real marketers are going to market, and people that are only focused on clicks are gonna might have to change their ways, right? Our rank trackers and our tools are probably panicking because they're going to have to change how they do stuff. I would not like to run a rank tracking tool, and sadly, one of the features of my tool I'm launching is that, but it's not the main purpose. But they've got it. But I wouldn't want to be one of them tools struggling with this, because it's gonna have to change how we approach SEO, and in my opinion, it's for the better. It's going to make us more marketing, right? People, how we search is going to change, right? And how we search has changed over the years. And eventually we might be talking into devices on our phones or smart pins, or, might be talking into our shoes like the old 60s predicted in Get Smart. Right? How we search is going to change, but why we search is not changing. And if your business was built on getting eyeballs and ads, it might be time to pivot a little bit. But if your business is on predicting what users want and then building that thing they want to help them do something and accomplish a task, right? For the e-commerce site, can I buy it, right? Or can I book that trip? Or, can I actually get real users' feedback or discuss, like the Taylor Swift example. I don't want to know if I want to know how old she is, and your website exists to give me a number. Meh. But there's still communities out there that want to discuss Taylor Swift's music and discuss the themes and the hidden stuff in it, and have that discussion, or buy tickets to her shows and all that other stuff, or connect with other fans. That's people doing stuff. That's where I would focus the most of my marketing efforts, on helping people do stuff.
Awesome. Well, personally, I can't think of a better way to go out than on a Get Smart reference. So we are going to stop there. Thank you, Ryan. That was awesome. And one thing I will just mention too is Ryan pointed out in his presentation, like Sundar Pichai, Google CEO, has said, like, Google is evolving in the direction of, at the time, SGE, but now it's AI overviews. So I just don't expect that to go away.